Guys, welcome back into another NFL Draft 2022 Top 5 list. I did my Top 5 guaranteed busts a few days ago. Today, I'm giving you my Top 5 guaranteed stars. And when I mean guaranteed stars, I'm very confident as long as there's no injuries. All 5 of these guys are going to make multiple Pro Bowls and multiple All-Pros. If your team drafts one of these players, you are in for a phenomenal career. Let's get into the top 5. I do want to give 2 honorable mentions. The first honorable mention, it's going to be Aidan Hutchinson. I didn't want to include him in this top 5. You know, he's the number 1 overall pick. But I will say Aidan Hutchinson, based on his work ethic, based on his pressure rate, at worst case, he's going to be a very good player, and he is expected overwhelmingly at this point to be the number 1 overall pick. I know there's been some talk about Trayvon Walker. That's what normally happens. You know, there's always talk about someone else as we get closer to the draft, possibly going number 1, but everybody favors Aidan Hutchinson to be that number 1 overall pick. So I think Aidan Hutchinson basically guaranteed to have at least a really good career. I've compared him to Max Crosby. I think he's a high-pressure player when it comes to being a pass rusher, and I do think he is a franchise pass rusher. My other honorable mention, it's going to be Kyle Hamilton, the safety from Notre Dame. The only reason he's on my honorable mention list and he's not in my top 5 is due to a little bit of an injury concern. He got injured in October of this past year with Notre Dame, and he didn't play any other games for Notre Dame. But this is your prototypical, unbelievable, rangy safety. I call him Justin Simmons 2.0. He plays exactly like the Denver Broncos safety Justin Simmons does, and he's one of the best safeties in the NFL. This is a guy, the only way he gets knocked down boards is due to that injury concern. Also didn't run the best 40 time, but I don't really take much stock into that at all. This is a lengthy, rangy safety that's really a ball hawk, and he's a leader of a defense. And I love having a safety that's smart. Kyle Hamilton is smart. He really is going to be the leader of a defense. So Kyle Hamilton and Aidan Hutchinson, those are my 2 honorable mentions when it comes to guaranteed stars. Let's get into my actual top 5 guaranteed stars. Coming in at number 5, it's going to be Breece Hall, the running back from Iowa State. I didn't know Breece Hall had it in him. He ran his 40 time. I think that his final 40 time at the combine was 4.38, which is just crazy. And my NFL comp for Breece Hall is Nick Chubb. Both of those guys you wouldn't necessarily think are fast, but Nick Chubb is fast, surprisingly. He's got a very compact, bulldog type build to him, but he's a fast player, and Breece Hall is the exact same way. Maybe Breece Hall might be a little bit more taller, but Breece Hall, I think the perfect fit there with Hall is the Buffalo Bills. Get Josh Allen a legitimate good running back. Zach Moss, Devin Singletary, they're not good enough. They're mediocre running backs in the NFL. Breece Hall is a superstar. I believe Buffalo has like the 27th overall pick. I would 100% draft Hall with the 27th overall pick. This is a guy that I am guaranteeing is going to have multiple 1,000 yards years. When it comes to fantasy football, it depends on the fit, but I would be fine with drafting Breece Hall in the 3rd or 4th round, maybe even earlier if he goes to a team like Buffalo and they tell him, listen, you're the number 1 running back. I expect Breece Hall to surprise people and be the number 1 running back picked over Kenneth Walker on draft night next Thursday. We're actually under a week away from the draft, so Breece Hall comes in at number 5. Number 4, I'm going to go with Ahmad Gardner, the cornerback from Cincinnati. Now, my opinion on Ahmad Gardner has not changed from the start. I always had Ahmad Gardner as my unquestionable cornerback 1. This is a lockdown corner. I love his personality. He's got some dog in him that you want in your number 1 cornerbacks. This guy is like Jalen Ramsey. He sticks to players. He's really long, lengthy. He has that build just like Jalen Ramsey where he's skinny, but he's a guy that's going to stick to receivers and he can be physical too. It's not like he's weak. So Ahmad Gardner, I think I have as my 4th or 5th overall player on my personal big board. This guy's going to be a guaranteed shutdown cornerback, and I think everyone at this point, or the vast majority of the draft world, is in agreement that Ahmad Gardner is the cornerback one. I was one of the first people to come out and say it. Then everyone's like, oh yeah, Derek Stingley has injury concerns, things like that. But I just think Ahmad Gardner is going to be a better player. He's taller than Stingley, I believe, and he has that build that's very similar to Jalen Ramsey, where he's just really long and he can drape receivers. And that's what I like about Ahmad Gardner. So Ahmad Gardner comes in at number 4 on my guaranteed stars. Coming in at number 3, it's going to be Tyler Linderbaum, the center from Iowa. Now, a lot of people know about Tyler Linderbaum. The only reason this guy is not going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft is due to positional value. He is a true center. The center position does not have a ton of value. Teams, they're not going to want to invest the top 10, a top 15 pick on a center when they can get a good solid center in the 2nd or 3rd round. We saw the Green Bay Packers get Josh Myers in the 3rd round this past draft, and he was playing, fine until he got injured. So there are centers you can get 2nd or 3rd round. These teams don't want to make these high investments into that position. But Tyler Linderbaum, he'll get picked somewhere probably late 1st round. He's a stud. He is an absolute stud. I think he's the best center prospect, at least in the last 5 or 6 years. So Tyler Linderbaum, multi-time All-Pro. He's going to be the best center in the NFL in 3 or 4 years. This is a Travis Frederick type career for Tyler Linderbaum, Nick Mangold type career here. So he's going to be unbelievable, whoever gets him. It just comes down to your organizational philosophy. Do you feel safe drafting a center, 16th overall, 17th overall? I've seen him, mocked as high as 11th or 12th. He seems to be a guy that's, very high on a lot of big boards, but he's not mocked high due to the positional value. So Tyler Linderbaum, guaranteed star, guaranteed Pro Bowler, guaranteed All-Pro, guaranteed number 1 center in the NFL in 3 years. Mark it down, folks. But again, it comes down to positional value with him. That's why he's kind of being mocked late in the 1st round. Moving on to number 2, my number 2 player I am guaranteeing to be a star. It is Nakobe Dean. He is a linebacker from Georgia. The one knock on Nakobe Dean is his height. I am not concerned about it at all. This dude was an absolute leader of one of the most elite defenses in college football history. He won a title with Georgia this past year. Unbelievable swarming defense. And he's not going to have the unbelievable eye-popping numbers because there's so many studs on that defense. But Nakobe Dean, this dude is an absolute, he is the centerpiece of a defense. He's what you want in a leader. He is my number 1 overall player on my big board. And I know people, they say that's aggressive. They say he's too small, things like that. This dude is a mini Bobby Wagner. I've said it from the start. He's going to have a very similar career to Bobby Wagner, where he'll be the best linebacker in football for at least 4 or 5 years. I understand the height concerns. I'm not worried about it. I think he's athletic enough to also be physical and cover some of the bigger tight ends. Not hybrid tight ends. He's a little too slow for that. But the bigger tight ends he can certainly cover. This is who you want in the middle of your defense. This is your franchise centerpiece. If I want someone leading my defense from this draft, it's Nakobe Dean. And that's why he comes in at number 2 on my guaranteed stars list. I would be shocked if Nakobe Dean was not one of the best players from this draft. Absolutely shocked. He's exactly what you want. He's smart. He's cerebral. And he was, he led the best defense in college football. He's an unbelievable tackler. I mean, obviously, great tackler. Rarely misses tackles. Really compact, solid, rock, well-built dude. Nakobe Dean comes in at number 2. And then, guys, number 1. The number 1 player I'm guaranteeing to be an absolute star in the NFL from the 2022 draft class. Let's not overthink it. Let's not overthink it. It is Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is going to be an absolute superstar. We're talking probably multiple, or definitely multiple 1,000-yard years. I think he's going to be better than Justin Jefferson was his rookie year. He might even be better than Jamar Chase was his rookie year, depending on what team he goes to, what quarterback, what situation. But Garrett Wilson is going to be a top 5 receiver in the NFL in 3 years' time. Mark it down. He's the best receiver in an absolute loaded wide receiver class. I've got him as my wide receiver number 1. He's my number 3 overall player on my big board. And I've got him in front of Drake London, George Pickens, Chris Olave, Jameson Williams. Garrett Wilson is kind of an interesting hybrid blend. Guys, think about this NFL comparison. A hybrid blend between Justin Jefferson and Calvin Ridley. That's what I think Garrett Wilson is. And if you watched him at Ohio State, think a little bit of Justin Jefferson with Calvin Ridley. That's what Garrett Wilson is. That's my NFL comp for Garrett Wilson. He's smooth. He catches everything. He goes up to get it. He's got really good leaping ability. He's fast enough. What did he ran? A 4.39 or something? Maybe a 4.38, I think was his official time. Olave ran a 4.39. That's right. So he's fast enough. He can run away from you. Great in space, really good wiggle. Overall, just Garrett Wilson is everything you want in a superstar wide receiver. If Drake London gets picked over him, I'm not going to hate it because I think Drake London is really good, and that might be just a team liking a bigger receiver rather than Garrett Wilson, who is really 6'0 and a half, I think. Or I think Garrett Wilson did measure in at 5'11 and 3/4, which rounds up. Garrett Wilson is basically 6 foot even, so maybe teams are going to be turned off by that. I'm not turned off by that at all. Garrett Wilson is going to be a superstar. He is my number 1 overall guaranteed star in the NFL, guys. Once again, my top 5 list. I got a few honorable mentions. Aidan Hutchinson, we all know he's probably going to be very good. He's got unbelievable work ethic. He's got great pass rusher moves. He'll at least be a really good pressures guy at the next level. And also my other honorable mention is Kyle Hamilton, who we just got to avoid the injuries, but a team could get him. Maybe you look at a team like the Commanders with the 11th overall pick. That would be unbelievable value for them. And then my top 5 list overall, coming in at number 5, I had Breece Hall. No, the thing is, it's out of order. This is out of order when I wrote this down. So, Breece Hall, the running back from Iowa State, superstar. He comes in at number 5. It's going to be Ahmad Gardner at number 4, the cornerback from Cincinnati. Tyler Linderbaum, the center from Iowa at number 3. And then we've got Nakobe Dean, the franchise linebacker from Georgia at number 2. And Garrett Wilson, the absolute superstar receiver from Ohio State at number 1. Those are my top 5 guaranteed stars when it comes to the NFL and when it comes to this 2022 NFL draft class, guys. That's going to do it for this video. I'm going to continue this series with my top 5 overrated players, my top 5 underrated players, maybe do a top 5 most risky players, highest upside, lowest floors, things like that, biggest bust potential. Be on the lookout for those in the coming days as we lead up to the NFL draft, guys. That's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.